Community Program Manager here at the Venture Center. Lift the Rock is just one of the programs we run, and I noticed a lot of new faces. Who has never been to the Venture Center? Yay! Very cool. So glad you're here. So glad you're spending time with us today. You will hear from Chauncey Pettis of the Arkansas Women's Business Center, as well as Beatrice Klokpah, who's the founder and clinical director of Noia. So a little bit first about the Venture Center, who we are, what we're about. This is our tagline: educate, collaborate, and accelerate. We educate the public about entrepreneurship and workforce development through programs just like this. We collaborate with other entrepreneurial support organizations, colleges, businesses, whoever has the same mission that's aligned with ours. And then, of course, we accelerate the companies we work with. And to show you that a little more, we've got a video, so if you'll watch this with me, we'll learn a little more about the Venture Center, if it plays.
It's sometimes said it's not about what you know, but who you know. Meet the Venture Center. You can find us on the 6th floor of the city's technology park, in the heart of Little Rock's creative corridor, a hotspot for up-and-coming entrepreneurs who come here to get the connections they need to grow their companies. Because innovation happens here, fast.
And the Venture Center was really established to really be a gateway in Central Arkansas for people who have ideas and for entrepreneurs. Also help grow the workforce, to help economic development, and to give people a true place to start.
Networking events and workshops create conversation, community, and competition. While our mentorship programs connect rising professionals with seasoned executives. Our strategic partnerships bring together the best of entrepreneurial talent and resources. It's big benefits through small town connections. Name cell phone number? You got it. A meeting with the governor? No problem. This is a place where entrepreneurs get stuff done with less red tape and more red carpet.
Arkansas is in the tech arena. We want to grow that because we want a return on the investment by building the technology sector here in this state.
Early stage technology companies from around the world seeking a fast track to success compete for a spot in our accelerators. Why? Because our program puts visionaries in front of VIPs. Through an immersive curriculum, these cohorts are able to evolve their companies and go-to-market strategies alongside the C-level suite executives and investors that have the clout to take them to the next level. The Venture Center creates connections that are the catalyst for opportunity, and our door is open to those eager to fuel the entrepreneurial engine. So come, introduce yourself. We'd love to meet you.
So this is an awesome video that shows you a little bit about the Venture Center. It was produced by Stoneward, their 360 Filmworks department, so we're really proud of that. Special thanks to the Chamber. They support us in everything that we do. I think we've got some representation here. Brandon, yes, thank you for being here. And the Little Rock Tech Park. So the building itself is the Tech Park, and we are housed here on the 6th floor as the Venture Center, and so we enjoy being here and getting to use this space. And then a big thank you to Honey Baked Hams for providing lunch today. A quick run through of some programs that we've got coming up. We're really starting to pick up steam on our programming for this year. Our next workshop is with Save 10, and this workshop will be on January 28th in the Mary Good Room on the 1st floor of the Tech Park. So be sure to register for that. If you're interested in learning more about Save 10 and what it means to retire, or save at least 10% of your income for retirement. And then our next Lift the Rock will be February 21st with Haley Allgood from Startup Junkie and Stan Zalowski from Movista. So be sure to register for that as well. And then if you happen to check in, take a picture, be sure to use the hashtag VCLiftTheRock and find out all our information online and on our social channels. Okay, real quick, I'll go ahead and introduce Chauncey and we'll get started. Chauncey Pettis is the Arkansas Women's Business Center Director for Winrock International. Chauncey has over 10 years of passion and expertise in the world of entrepreneurship leadership and small business. She's shared these passions by participating on a number of boards and committees, including Arkansas in History Selection Committee for the Arkansas Arts Center, Arkansas Black Hall of Fame Foundation, Think Big Economic Development Committee, and the integration of Central High's 60th Anniversary Committee. In 2018, she was appointed by Winrock International as the director of the Arkansas Women's Business Center, a cooperative agreement with the U.S. Small Business Administration, where she continues her work in inspiring women-owned startups to continue chasing their dreams of entrepreneurship. AWBC facilitates a host of trainings, workshops, and one-on-one consulting sessions to help move the needle in developing a thriving entrepreneurial ecosystem for the state of Arkansas. So without further ado, please welcome Chauncey Pettis. It should work. There you go. And to click through, you can use that. Look fit?
Yep.
There we go.
Hi. How's everyone doing? Good. Seeing a couple of faces that I recognize, so it's nice to see everyone. And for those of you who I have not met yet before, my name is Chauncey Pettis, and like Asher said, I'm the director of the Arkansas Women's Business Center. So hopefully I'm going to tell you a little bit about the AWBC. Let's hope it all makes sense. But before we get into that, I'm going to tell you just a little brief overview about me personally and what led me to do this work. And so be ready for some kind of goofy slides. All right, so how many of you knew this kid in your neighborhood? Right? So I was that kid. So from a very early age, I've had a little bit of entrepreneurially inclined drive. So I started my first endeavor when I was about 10, selling candy around the neighborhood. And very quickly, I ran into this face quite a bit. And so, is it too soon for those of you that are Marvel fans? Are we still saying?
Here we go again.
Yeah, so eventually I kind of aged out of the cuteness of being the little kid selling candy, right? The older you get, the less cute it gets. So then I became this teenager. And so at my high school, I repurposed old clothes, t-shirts and jeans, and made them kind of particular for my classmates. I would put, our classmates' names on it, class of whatever, all that. So I've always been a little bit inclined to find my own way to make my own money. And I started to up my game, and we got a silk press machine. You guys remember those? The big machine, like the huge iron thing, and started designing shirts. And then something really, truly amazing happened for me. I started Harlem Lyrics. So Harlem Lyrics is a Afrocentric line of greeting cards that I started when I was 15 years old. And so for those of you that buy, birthday cards or Mother's Day cards or anything like that, I had a line of greeting cards specifically for individuals in the African American community. I know. In the African American community. And very quickly, I was fortunate enough to get a pretty big fan base and people that loved our products because it was representation in an area that they're not used to be represented in. And we were right around the same time as mahogany. But the difference is that line of greeting cards were very mature. And so we specialize in greeting cards for African American teenagers that enjoy the hip hop community. And some interesting things happened when we developed Harlem Lyrics. We were the first in the nation to create a boyfriend and girlfriend card. It's kind of weird, right? All of us know that there's a stage that goes from I don't know you to married. But no one really addresses that, right? Greeting cards.
I'm sorry, I got to interrupt. Did you have a greeting card that said something like, you got me straight tripping, or something?
Verbatim.
Yes. This is so funny. I remember you was proud of you. I don't mean that.
Well, right now I'm 30.
Okay, so I'm 33, so I'm only a couple of years old. I remember it was in Walmart. And
Yep.
I was like, and it motivated me. I'm like, she already got her. I was with my boyfriend at the time. I was like, I need to start doing it.
So you got me straight tripping, boo, which I'm a little bit embarrassed about now. But at the time, it was a pretty current. So you just time-stamped me a little bit. Was a card that was really successful because it just really spoke in a very specific vernacular to a particular community. And so we realized that we could really kind of cross-pollinate that same energy across different lines of products. And so next to the line of greeting cards in the spinner rack is a line of notebooks and folders. So we expanded in different stationery. So now we also had notebooks and folders because if if African American teens didn't feel represented in greeting cards, they also didn't feel represented in their school supplies. Either you had to get a generic red, blue, green color, or you did Lisa Frank or Barbie or something else. So we expanded into stationery, other stationery. We redeveloped our product line, we started getting a little bit of attention, and then we moved into apparel. And so once we started getting a little bit more attention, we were covered in a couple of magazines that you guys may be familiar with, including Cosmo Girl Magazine, Cosmopolitan, Black Enterprise, and a couple of other chains and TV shows. And so once that picked up, we got a call one day from someone that says, let me just say I really appreciate what you're doing for Black teenage girls. I appreciate you not only jumping out there and being an entrepreneur, but giving them a way to see themselves in product lines. I really like what you're doing. And I said, well, thank you. At this point, it really wasn't quite unheard of to get a random call from someone that likes the product line. I said, so thank you for reaching out. I really appreciate it. And I said, have a good day. And she said, I'm sorry I buried the lead. I'm actually a buyer for Macy's department stores, and I was wondering if you would be willing to come out and show us your products. And so I said, of course, I'd love to. We'll be in touch. I got off the phone. I cried. That's what it does. And shortly after, probably about 3 weeks, we flew up to present our product line to Macy's. And so one of the best pitches of my life. Everything went great. We had big banners and all of our products and all the cool stuff. Flew back and had to wait for them to respond. Longest 2 weeks of my life. And they called back and she said, I'm so sorry. Your pitch was great. It was really impressive. But the buyer for stationery, he really didn't get it. So we're not gonna be able to carry the products. And so I said, well, thank you for the opportunity. I hung up, I cried, as one does. And I called her back. I said, you know what? I just want to say thank you again for the opportunity. And I really appreciate you extending your reach to someone like me in Arkansas to see if you sell our products. And she said, no problem. I really loved them. I just hated it didn't work out. And I said, so real quick, what do you buy? You said you were a buyer. And she said, well, I buy junior girls apparel. And she was like, I'd love to have your products, but you don't make any clothing. So I said, give me a month and invite me back out, and I'll just show you just 5 t-shirt designs. If you like them, great. If you don't, no harm, no foul. So a couple months later, we were in 33 Macy's stores in Macy's East. And so I'll take the snaps, thank you. But that was New York, New Jersey, Illinois, that kind of area. And today I am, after a brief stint at the City of Little Rock as the Small Business Development Coordinator, I reinvigorated the Small Business Development Office for the City of Little Rock, giving citizens in Little Rock an opportunity to figure out where the ecosystem is, not connecting, but also running a couple of classes that teaches how to write your own business plan. After a stint there, now I'm at Windrock International as the Director of the Arkansas Women's Business Center. So that is a very quick timeline of me and my love of entrepreneurship and what it does for women's empowerment. And so to tell you a little bit, we're still on me. So I am a 3 times published co-author, and if you care about these kind of things, I went to UCA, and I've also completed programs at the Tuck School of Business at Dartmouth and the University of Virginia Dark School of Business. Now we're at the AWBC. All right, so our mission at Windrock is to empower the disadvantaged, increase economic opportunity, and sustain natural resources across the globe. And so we have hundreds of projects around the world doing one of those 3 major plot points. And so we have about 220 active projects in about 50 countries around the world at Windrock International. And we do anything from anti-trafficking in South Sudan to clean water systems in Native American tribes to women's empowerment in Senegal. But we are really unique in an international nonprofit in the sense that we care just as much abroad as we do about our own backyard. And what we found in this work is that really poverty is poverty no matter where you are. And it looks the same for a lot of our rural small towns here in Arkansas. And so through the Arkansas Women's Business Center, we maintain our domestic footprint here and quite a few of our other U.S. program-based projects. But what we do at the AWBC is that we help women across the state start their own small businesses through not only connecting them to the overall ecosystem, like the Nurture Center or the ASBTDC or PTAC or all those other things, connecting them with their local chambers, but we also help them get a better footing as entrepreneurs. So I'm sure many of you here have entrepreneur endeavors, but how many of you have kind of struggled with what's step 1 through 4? Right? Like everyone kind of gives us these overarching ethereal thought processes of how to be better entrepreneurs, but where do business licenses come from? Right? That just very basic first step. And so that's what we try to do through a number of our accelerators. And so the top picture here is our Momentum project that we started our second cohort on Monday. Shout out to one of our sponsors, the Chamber of Commerce. Thanks, guys. So we started that, and it's really one of a kind in the state of Arkansas. We have started the very first accelerator for minority women-owned businesses. And so the entrepreneur ecosystem, although its overarching goal is to help you chase your dream, we do find that it's not as accessible for everyone. And so after attempting to kind of force our AWBC clients on different spaces, we just said we're just going to create our own accelerator. And so we're now on our second cohort of Momentum. And down below is a food truck that took our first class. And they're Trail Sewer, if you have not tried them, they're amazing, particularly their bananas. And so what do we do exactly? How do we help women entrepreneurs? So we provide one-on-one training and one-on-one counseling where we work with you directly to progress your business. But we also do, let's get that one, we also do small group trainings and workshops. Current capacity study is a really nice way of saying, here's what you want to do, but here's what you actually can do right now. Right? I mean, it's really great that you want to start a hotel on the moon, but let's maybe do something here first. Right? And so sometimes you just need someone on the outside to say, okay, here's what you actually have the capacity to do right now, and then let's build to that bigger dream. Proof of concept markets we're really proud of. And so the Arkansas Women's Business Center hosts 2 proof of concept markets a year. We do, and they're both in El Dorado, which is our headquarters. We have a headquarters in El Dorado and a satellite office here in Little Rock, trying our best to be statewide. And so our proof of concept markets are kind of your traditional expo. For those of you that have just kind of been to where everyone has a booth set up selling their products or services. But we kind of take that concept and turn it on its head just a little bit. So all of our attendees are aware that our small business owners will ask you questions about what you bought or why you didn't buy it or what made you put that back down. And our vendors are encouraged, because most of them are AWBC clients, and they're encouraged to get customer discovery interviews during the buying process. And so what's really great about that is not only do we give our clients the opportunity to just increase their sales, because if you're not an entrepreneur to make money, then we need to maybe go back to the drawing board on some terminology. But not only increase their sales, but figure out what's good or what's not good about their product offering and where they need to pivot that. Because sometimes you don't know what you don't know until you actually get in front of your customers and ask them. We've had one great example of that is I had a vendor at our mistletoe market, which is in November. She made jewelry, custom jewelry, and she was selling really great with her earrings and her necklaces, but couldn't figure out why her bracelets wouldn't sell. And so at our mistletoe market, she took the time and asked quite a few of our attendees, hey, I saw that you picked this bracelet up a bunch of times, but you put it back down. If you don't mind me asking, tell me about your thoughts that you're having. And she said, well, it's beautiful, I'd love to have it, but it's huge. She said, I'd have to wear it all the way up here because it's just too wide. And she said, she looked at her wrist, and she looked at her client's wrist, so a potential customer, and she looked at hers, and she looked at hers again, and she said, okay, thank you. She asked this question a couple of more times, same result. She was a bigger individual than the average woman that was trying to buy her jewelry. And so she made her products to fit herself and realized that she took herself, she was costing herself a lot of business. So she said, this is nothing I would have never gotten this information. So thank you guys for what you do. And so now she has changed her product offering just by pivoting the circumference of her bracelets. And now they're really successful. Market feasibility studies, but we really kind of sub you out to the ASBTDC if you guys are familiar with them. Are you guys familiar with the ASBTDC? They're much better at that than we are. And so we send you their way because they have phenomenal software, but also enhanced link to capital investment. And so what we mean by this is that we are SBA resource partners, and so we get you ready to go after that traditional loan. But we hope to put you in partnership with the SBA before you go in front of your bank. Because what the SBA guaranteed loans do is that's not a guarantee for you, the small business owner, that you'll get the loan. It's a guarantee for the bank that, hey, this person disappears, we guarantee we'll pay back a certain amount of this money. So we help you lower the risk of loaning to you as a small business owner through helping you connect with SBA partners. All right, so here's some quick stats about what we've done so far. And so the ASBTDC, that's not me, the AWBC has entered into our 10th year, and since our beginning, we've helped 1,400 women across the state of Arkansas. We have clients in 53 counties, which is not bad for a 75-county state. And we have helped create and retain 61, we've helped start 61 businesses across the state of Arkansas, and that's a two-pronged step for us. We don't just count if you believe you started a business. You have to have registered yourself with a legal entity, whether that's an LLC with the state or business license in your city, but you also have to have gotten a sale. And so once you've done those two things, we count you as a business startup. And then we've helped create and retain over 150 jobs in the state. And so that number we track a little differently as well. We don't count you as the entrepreneur until you do this full time, or if you're still splitting between that 9 to 5 that you cannot let go of yet, which is a lot of us. If you hire someone part-time, we count that individual. And so that number will be a lot higher if we counted those of us that are afraid to let go of that full-time job. And we've helped our clients raise over $500,000 in technical assistance and access to capital. So we do that either through those traditional loans that we talked about, or we help you with pitch you for pitch competitions. We help you through technical assistance dollars, which we give out throughout some of our momentums and our other cohorts that we work with. And so here's just some things that we track that let us know that we're doing well. We count unique clients, business starts, and capital infusion, but we also track new partnerships. We want to connect with other people that work with entrepreneurs that need to help them figure out how to get to resources and how to get to that next step in development. So it's not only other entrepreneur support organizations, but it's municipalities, it's schools, it's programs, after-school programs. We have a great partnership with Upper Bound that we host a youth entrepreneurship week every summer in El Dorado. All right, that's pretty self-explanatory, but our clients who we're looking for are mostly women entrepreneurs, although we do have the occasional guy client. Aspiring entrepreneurs that just don't know how to start. How do I get this off the ground? But we also work with existing business owners, people that have been in business for 5 years and they've kind of plateaued. And so they don't know how they can break through where this current growth curve. How do I get to the next step? What am I missing? And youth entrepreneurship. We typically like individuals that are skill or trade-based, looking to raise their household income and want to do this full-time. We do a lot of work in our small towns in Arkansas, and so we help a lot of people that work in our rural areas that have a skill or a trade, but they don't really know how to step out and do that on their own. We have a lot of people that have cosmetology license, people that have healthcare degrees, whether they're nurses or CNAs, and they just don't know how to do this on their own, and so we help them build those businesses. And speaking of which, the bottom picture is one of our RNs that started her own adult daycare center, and now she does in-home care across the state as well. She, like every other nurse that we have in our family, felt underappreciated, underutilized, and so not only did she start this business for herself, but through a little bit of help with us, now she does in-home care, and she's hired over 50 other women and nurses so they can get that same amount of empowerment. We're really proud of that. Yes. All right, so we help our clients register their entities, whether that's an article of incorporation or organization that takes the form of an S Corp, C Corp, LLCs, all those things we know. Making sure they have the necessary licenses and certifications to do the work that they're doing. So how many of us have like that uncle or that dad that's like a handyman and goes in people's houses but doesn't really have the credentials to do that, so you just kind of pray they don't break anything because they don't have a license to do this or any type of insurance. So we try to help avoid those pitfalls. Increased awareness and the completion of a Lean Canvas. So our counseling approach is through the Lean Canvas. We usually take that model and apply it to all of our clients, and helping you think your process through and making sure that it's feasible, hopefully with the least amount of time and the least amount of dollars. And that's kind of what we do at the AWBC. So, quick pitch. We have our Momentum Pitch Day coming up March 2nd at the Innovation Hub. More details to come. I would love to see you all there. Momentum, oh, somebody recognizes some faces. So Momentum, again, is the first of its kind in the state. It's a minority business accelerator for women. And we go over not only the lean canvas, but marketing assistance, financial assistance. What else do we cover? Basic financials and pitching. And so they take that knowledge over 5 weeks and then they pitch to an audience to determine which one of them will receive $1,000 of startup capital. And so we're really excited about this class. This is our second rendition of Momentum. And again, thanks to our sponsors, the Bank OZK and Florida Regional Chamber of Commerce. So I hope to see you guys for our Momentum Pitch Day. Any questions?
What time, how much does it cost?
Oh, okay, fair enough. So, so we are, it's free and open to the public, Momentum Pitch Day, and so we hope we have you there too. But in order to get our services with the Arkansas Women's Business Center, we are absolutely no cost. And so you can sign up, and it usually takes a week to put you on our calendar, and we can start consulting with you. We say no cost as opposed to free, because again, we're funded by SBA, so you already paid for it. So get your money's worth. Any other question?
Is it too late to join the pitch?
Momentum? Yeah, so the pitch day for Momentum is only for participants that are participating in the Momentum project. And so, but we hope to do another Momentum somewhere in the summer.
At what time?
It is at
You didn't have a time up there.
6. Is it 6? 6 to 8.
6 to 8.
March 2nd at the Innovation Hub.
And then the Momentum Project, you said y'all start that up and you're gonna start up another one in the summer, but how do you apply for that? Where is that found?
So if you like our Facebook page, it's Arkansas Women's Business Center. We always post programming that we're doing there. It's the best way to get in touch with us, but also here's general contact information for us on our webpage. But Facebook's the best way to monitor what we have going on at the time. We're also running a really exciting cohort in the right now in Pine Bluff called Fruitpreneur, and we're working with food-based businesses and small farmers. They'll have a demo day too, but it'll be in. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you guys.
Thank you, Ms. Chauncey.
Thank you.
All right. Up next, I'll tell you a little bit about Beatrice. She is the founder and clinical director of Unoya Therapy and Self-Development located in downtown Little Rock. She's an experienced therapist who has a heart for women experiencing a variety of issues common to life. She brings a no-nonsense approach to therapy with a lot of empathy, insight, and experience. Beatrice's range of therapy has been proven in her work with the chronically ill, working professionals, medical providers, survivors of domestic violence, and the homeless. So please welcome Beatrice Klokpah.
So thankful for Chauncey. Thank you all so much for being here and for having me. Hey, Jennifer. Again, my name is Beatrice Klokpah, and I am the owner and clinical director of Unoya Therapy and Self-Development. And I am very excited about this opportunity to share with you a little bit about my entrepreneurial journey. So when I got the email and the request to be one of the speakers, they asked me to share with you about my journey as an entrepreneur, some of the success and challenges that I've experienced. So that's kind of what the frame of reference of my talk will be about today. And so as I thought about that, I felt like the title Lemonade was very fitting to describe my journey so far as an entrepreneur. I have been in full-time entrepreneurship for almost 2 years now, exactly 20 months right now. So I'm approaching that 2-year mark, but Lemonade is definitely what I have made out of this time in my journey so far. So, and I'll tell you a little bit about that here in a minute. Unoya, that is a pronunciation and the meaning of my business name. Yonoya was not the name of my business when I first started here in the Little Rock area. Yonoya means well-minded, beautiful thinking. And it really is a representation of the work that I do with my clients and even the journey personally that I'm on. And so when I made the decision to change the name of my business, I did ask for the input and the advice of my clients to allow them to be a part of this journey of change and growth that I was on, which was very difficult, and I'll share a little bit about that with you as well. So just to give you a few highlights of my presentation, I'm going to share with you about my spirit animal. I never thought that I had one, but apparently I do. How I got started, 3 steps that I've learned to practice and I still practice to maintain my sanity and being a business owner and dealing with life changes at the same time. And then some of the success and challenges, and then some golden nuggets. And I'll drop those throughout the presentation, so pick them up. And you take what works for you and leave the rest, okay? So, but before I get to my spirit animal, I just want to share with you a little bit about what brought me to the place of deciding that I wanted to do therapy and going to private practice full time. And one of those reasons is I started off as a social worker. I was doing community-based social work in Houston. And while I was doing that, I was integrating therapy with them as well. But then once I transitioned out of community-based work, I started working with medical providers at Memorial Hermann, which is one of the largest trauma hospitals in the city of Houston. And so I was working with some of the doctors and nurses, hospital administrators, and even the lay staff at the hospital. And when I thought about it, when I really took an evaluation, I realized my clients who are chronically homeless, addicted to substances, dealing with all these issues, a lot of their issues were very similar to the providers that I was working with in the hospital. The only difference is we can hold together a little better. We can keep a job, we have a home to go to, and we have finances and resources. But they were also dealing with suicidal ideation. They were dealing with mental illness. They were dealing with depressive symptoms, anxiety, substance abuse, you name it. And so that's really what gave me a heart for working professionals, because I realized we are suffering out in the open, right? We can just put our faces on and put our clothes on and look really together, but we're human like everybody else. Just because we have a salary, right, or we have a degree or letters behind our name doesn't change the fact that we deal with life like everyone else. So that is how I've identified my niche in the population that I serve. So, to my spirit animal, let me first ask you all, how many entrepreneurs are in the room? Okay, so there are quite a few. Okay, good. So we have some entrepreneurs. Out of you all, and even other of you who are not entrepreneurs, who would say that you would consider yourself a big dreamer? Okay, good. I wasn't one of y'all. I wasn't one of y'all. I would not have I may have raised my hand just to, be a big dreamer, but I wasn't that. I wasn't that at all. So for those of you who are here who may not be a big dreamer, who may be intimidated at the idea of dreaming big, right? Because there are people like that. I know that because I was one. But if you struggle with this idea about dreaming big and wanting, more for yourself, then I really think that I hope that my story will inspire you. So I'll tell you a quick story. One day I was out walking my dog. He's a boxer, and he was walking, and he's a pretty big dog, so you pretty much go where he takes you. And we were walking, and I looked down in the grass, and this was one of those mornings. You entrepreneurs understand what those mornings are like, when you don't know what you're going to do with your day. You probably don't have any clients lined up, no business or anything really planned. And you're trying to figure out how to make this a productive day so you don't beat yourself up by 12 o'clock because you suck and you're unproductive, right? All those different thoughts that we think to ourselves. And so I was walking my dog, looking at the concrete, and one lesson that I have learned in this journey is to always be open and looking for opportunity to learn outside of myself. Because when I find myself in that space where I am struggling to, figure out what's the next big thing for me to do, I start obsessing with my thoughts, and I start beating myself up. And so a key for me is to always look for ways to get wisdom outside of myself, because my best thinking keeps me in compulsive and obsessive thinking that doesn't get me anywhere, right? So while I was walking, my dog was in the grass, and this grass had not been cut. It wasn't freshly cut. And I looked down, and in this grass that was not high, but it was relatively high, I saw an ant. And I thought, it shocked the crap out of me. And I thought, how on earth do I see an ant in this grass? A little bit ant. And at that moment, I knew that that was God communicating to me, and He wanted me to know something about me. And I had been praying. I'm a very spiritual person, and so I was praying and, really trying to get into this place where I can be confident and be secure in who I am, and really be able to step out and be the entrepreneur that I want to be, so that I can help other people. And so when I hurried and got my dog together, and I ran home, and I looked up, what is the meaning of an ant? And so when I looked up, I found some proverbs about ants, and it says that ants are one of the 4 smallest creatures on this earth, but it's one of the strongest, right? And so ants are also, thinking about that proverb and some of the other things that I read about ants also are planners. They are in community, right? They have foresight. They're small, but they're mighty. Right? They run in groups, and so those are just a few things that really helped me. And I go back to when I think about when I'm struggling with my value, my purpose, and really getting out of stuck thinking, which sometimes I really find myself in sometimes, which is these 3 steps that I have discovered that really help me get out of that obsessive thinking that a lot of us as entrepreneurs find ourselves in. So when I moved here, I'll just share a little bit with you, which I share with my clients as well, who helped me in the process of rebranding my business. When I relocated here from Houston, I was going through a major life change, i.e. divorce, okay? And here I am, a therapist, I'm helping people, and my life is just completely falling apart, right? So when you're an entrepreneur and then moving from the city of Houston, where it's easy to never run into anybody twice. And Little Rock is very small, so I was adjusting to this idea of, I know no one here, I'm an entrepreneur, I'm a therapist, and I'm dealing with all of this craziness in my life. I mean, it was Wahala. And so I'm also West African, so I know a lot of bad lingo out there, it just comes out. But I was dealing with the life changes, being an entrepreneur full time, stress, anxiety, fear, and then on top of that, trying to develop myself professionally so that I can provide good quality care, keep my head together, right, so that I can be present with my clients. So I'll share with you some 3 steps that I have learned and that I still try to maintain to this day to help me stay sane. The first step is to admit my powerlessness over my stinking thinking and behaviors that get me stuck. That's that obsessive thinking that I find myself in, okay? And so when I do that first step, I realize that's where I realize when I'm in that obsessive thinking, where I'm beating myself up, maybe because I wasn't as productive on a certain day, or that I was so overwhelmed or intimidated by something that I needed to do that I found everything else to do, right? So when I find myself there, I practice that first step. The second step that I go to is practice the belief that God can restore my thinking and my behavior. So that's more just awareness that I learned to grow in and to make sure that I can decrease my obsessive thinking about marketing, the bottom line, being present with my clients, and really moving on to step 3 and making a conscious decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of God. Because when you're an entrepreneur, especially when you're in a service-based business, you can't make anybody be your client. You can't make anyone come back, right? So I had to learn very quickly that all I can do is do my best on any given day, right? And my output that day may not be as high as it could be on another day, depending on what I was going through, or even now what I'm dealing with. So that obsessive thinking, I have to have awareness about it. And then I find myself in a space where I'm telling God, I know, all I can do is do my best, and I have to leave the outcome up to you, and that I believe that the way things are supposed to happen, that's how they will happen. And then step 3 really is where I decide that I do very short, simple prayers. Those things help me stay grounded. Now, these are not things that you necessarily have to use, but this has been a framework for me that has really been a gift to my life to help me really learn how to strike some balance in my life. And then on top of that, I have developed community here. That's a picture of me and my friend Melanie, and she is one of a small group of ladies that I have developed a very strong community with here that are like family for me, and I'm thankful for that. I've also joined the Junior League of Little Rock, which has been a great decision for me professionally. Just serving and connecting with other like-minded women as business owners, I think that it's good for us to have that balance. Remember, ants live in community, right? So, and they thrive in community. So I had community personally for my social life, and then I also had an outlet for myself professionally. And the Junior League also provides some social outlets as well, but it's been great professionally and getting involved and learning this community. And then the last thing, you see that there's a record there. I love music, and so music has always been a way for me to stay grounded and focused when I'm really having a hard time. I love live music, and I love that about Little Rock. You have live music here like all the time.
Yes.
And it's typically free, and every time I'm there trying to twirl, okay? And I love it. So, strategy for growth and reach. So, two main successes that I want to share with you that I was able to accomplish. Within the 10 months of being in business, I was able to start taking a salary for myself consistently every month, and I continue to be able to do that. And so I'm very, very, very thankful for that. Thank you. That has been amazing for me and has helped me keep my business sustainable. The second thing is that I had a goal of a number of clients that I wanted to see every week. And I was able to reach that number and for the most part be able to consistently maintain that as well, which has helped my business remain viable. But I want to share with you some success and struggles that I have also experienced in my first year and a half or so of business. So the first thing, I knew that I didn't want to necessarily be in the office seeing clients face to face all day, every day. I knew that very quickly. I knew that I wanted other ways to reach people, and I wanted other streams of income, to be quite frank with you. Okay, so we always have to think about that, which has been a struggle for me as well, being a therapist, and then you have to think about your bottom line as well. Those are things that we have to consider. So business-to-business contracts has been my main focus to develop another stream of income for me. I worked on that for about a year, and then I was finally able to get that contract at the end of last year. And Chauncey played a large role in helping me with that and getting over a lot of my stinking thinking, so thank you. But I did get the contract. Right now what I'm struggling with is scaling it. Finding ways to make this contract, this program viable, and being able to be in a place to hire other therapists to help me scale and grow this business. And so right now that's kind of what I'm working on and really trying to get ahead of and find ways to help people and have a greater reach without burning myself out at the same time. Private clients, that has been my bread and butter right now, and it's really been the reason why I get up every morning, because I absolutely love working with my clients one-on-one. And so the successes that I have been able to maintain and actually acquire the client, my target niche client, right, my ideal client. I am working with the people that I want to work with, right? And that's important as entrepreneurs, is that, especially when you're in the service-based business, you want to make sure you work with your ideal client, because that's going to help you keep your fuel, right? So you don't get burned out working with people who necessarily don't fit your thing, right? It's not really your vibe. And so I'm very happy about that. But one of the things that I'm struggling with is balancing the hat of trying to grow my business and having another stream of income, but also continuing to give my clients the same quality of service. So I pride myself in really trying to create a very high-end, custom therapeutic experience for my clients. That's very important to me. Some of my clients do online journal entries, and I read their journals, right? And we can have dialogue back and forth. So my clients have very close connection with me. That's important. And I think when we're in business and we start growing, it's easy to start dropping the ball. I've had several clients that have come and say, oh, I love my therapist, but then they grew and I wasn't, the quality changed, right? Or, they weren't as on top of it like they were at one point. And I can empathize with that former therapist of where they were. But it's that constant reminder for me that, Beatrice, this is your first heart, right? This is the reason why you are in business. This is the reason why you're even doing this in the first place. And so it's very important to me to try to keep my head together and keep my focus so that I can continue to provide the same level of quality service that I've been giving my clients and that has helped me remain viable and grow and have very good, strong referrals. The next thing is I would like to eventually become an employer and create jobs here in the city by hiring therapists either as W-2 employees or even as contractors to scale and grow my practice and develop a reach even further here in the Central Arkansas area. And so that is kind of where I am and what I'm looking at in terms of my strategy for growth and reach, and then some of the success and challenges that I'm dealing with that I'm sure many of you can identify with as well. So, some golden nuggets, that's a huge lemon, but you know, we can make some lemonade that tastes just like Chick-fil-A. People love Chick-fil-A lemonade. Mine's is better than Chick-fil-A lemonade. You got some honey in there, you know. But so a few things that I want to share with you is to stay in your lane. When I came here, I went to so many networking events, and I had a lot of fun. It was a great outlet for me because of all the crap that I was going through. I mean, life was quite terrible for a while. So I want to encourage you to stay in your lane, not try to keep up with social media, and not get caught up in what everyone else is doing. You know, find your purpose. What is it that grounds you and keeps you focused on why you're doing what you're doing? The other thing is to do things with intention. Last year I struggled with this. This year I'm going to try to be even more aware and purposeful about this, but doing things with intention because your time and your energy are very valuable. And even if you aren't having major life changes like I was going through, life can just throw us a curveball, period. So even if you don't have any major stresses going on, do what you want to do with your free time. You don't have to say yes to every single thing. Because it's easy to live and breathe your business and thinking about the next thing, and we just start future tripping over stuff that we really don't have control over. So again, it takes me back to that space of surrender. Do your best on any given day and leave the rest up to God. Really, I mean, that's kind of where I am. And then radical self-acceptance. I share this with you because it's something that I have been forced to live with, but then also I'm being intentional about living with as well, because when you're an entrepreneur, when you go through life changes, or even when you're making adjustments within your business or your strategy, it's public, right? If you're on social media anyway, people are going to know when you change the name of your business, your last name changed, you know, or if you've gone out of business, or if you started a whole different type of business. Be okay with that change. And it can be hard to be okay with that change. I really understand that in a very deep way. It can be hard to be okay with that change. But at the end of the day, people are going to run their own course. So why not run your own? They're going to talk either way it goes. So be okay with your story. And if you're struggling with your story, that's okay too. You don't have to share it until you're ready. Because quite frankly, social media and sometimes people try to make you feel guilty because you haven't shared your story. But share it when you're ready. This is your business. This is your race. The other thing is find what grounds you. For me, those 3 steps are what I try to go back to. It may not always be very lined out like I lined it out for you, but that's pretty much the process of what I go through, is to try to get out of my head. And when the outcome of those things, of getting out of my head with the obsessive thinking, giving it over to God, doing those short, simple prayers, it helps me regain my focus and my purpose so that I can actually make some progress. Because I can run in a circle for 24 hours and then beat myself up again because I haven't done anything. But really those steps help reground me and get me out, get me off of that hamster wheel. So I hope that something that I have shared with you is helpful for you. This has pretty much been my journey in a nutshell. There's been a lot of change for me, but it has really helped me grow and develop and become a person that I didn't even know I had the capacity to be. So it brings me back to this idea of not being a big dreamer, right? For those of you in the room, even if you raise your hands and you struggle with fear about dreaming big or really believing more in yourself, keep living. Keep looking for opportunity for something outside of yourself to speak to you, to give you wisdom and guidance, because it's always there. There's always opportunities to learn and grow, and that has been a staple for me. So yes, let's talk. Here's some information where you can connect with me. That's my email, phone number, website, and then I also have my social media there. Are there any questions at all? Anybody have questions?
Are you taking clients? I'm just curious.
I am taking clients. And I accept Blue Cross Blue Shield and Ambetter, and then I also have private pay.
Amen.
Yeah. Good question. Thank you. Any other questions?
Do you have business cards on you?
I do have some business cards.
Cause I
Yeah.
have a
And
business that I have people that I need to hand cards out to. So.
Okay. Okay. Send them my way. Yes.
Do you work with children?
I do not work with children. I don't, but I can provide you some good referrals. If anyone ever needs a good referral, I also do that as well. I can try to connect you with folks in the community that may be a good fit for you. But I specifically work with adults, individuals and couples. Any other questions? Chauncey?
So, working with a lot of entrepreneurs, did you ever struggle with your pricing? Because a lot of service-based entrepreneurs have a hard time figuring out what you should charge, or even particularly those of you that are very empathetic. I don't struggle with that, but for those of you that are, it feels like you got to give so much away before you start finding out a way to charge. So, how did you get over that hurdle, if that was ever a hurdle of yours?
It was a hurdle for me. So how did I get over that? You know, it took a lot of really testing the market, really, especially with my private pay clients, to see what are people willing to pay and what am I willing really to share my expertise for. And so once I started testing my price in the market, even if it was a little bit above what other therapists are charging, I really feel like I know that I provide a good quality service. So, I mean, it's just worked for me. So I had to step out there and charge what I want to charge, what I feel like I'm worth. And just get the feedback from your clients. And I had to be okay if there were some people who could not afford to see me. That they're not your target client. And that is okay. That's okay. Being someone that was formerly a social worker, it's easy to be like, oh, well, but I'm not a social worker anymore, I'm a therapist. So, you know, it was a mind shift. I had to really change my thinking, so I had to jump out there and try it, and then be okay if people walked away, and then try to provide them good quality referrals. Yeah.
I commend you on that.
Yeah, thank you. Okay. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You know, when we started Lift the Rock, it was all about, okay, we would love to give people a platform to, you know, showcase the economic development resources here in Arkansas and share a local success story. But a byproduct of that, of a really good presentation, is that they inspire the people in the room. And I saw a lot of heads nodding in the back, so I know a lot of you are going to leave here inspired today, so that's really great. Again, just a reminder, check out our website. We've got a ton more programs lined up for 2020. You're invited to all of them. We'll feed you. There is also a ton of food left in the back, so be sure to take a to-go plate if you want. Feel free to connect. There's a few more minutes left, and I hope you have a great Friday. Thank you.
Girl, when I saw you, because I want to
remember how it came up, but